We typically assume that if we don't have a fever or a cough, we are healthy. But the World Health Organization defines health as complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Today, our goal is to move past rote memorization and decode the actual biological science behind human diseases. The reason the WHO includes mental well-being is due to the mind-body connection. Chronic mental stress actively disrupts your nervous system and throws your hormones out of balance. That chemical disruption directly degrades your immune system, making your physical body highly vulnerable to infection. To understand those infections, we have to separate the actual microscopic criminal from its mode of transport. The real threat is the pathogen, the bacteria, virus, or fungus that damages your body. The vector is the organism that carries it. This animated diagram illustrates how that transport works. A vector like a mosquito does not manufacture the disease. It acts entirely as a delivery mechanism. When a mosquito bites a healthy person, it is simply dropping off the pathogen package into their bloodstream. Fighting epidemics requires knowing whether your target is the biological criminal itself, or if you simply need to shut down its transportation network. This flowchart maps human diseases. At the top, it splits into congenital diseases, present from birth, and acquired diseases, developing later. Acquired then splits again. Communicable diseases spread through pathogens, while non-communicable diseases are triggered by lifestyle, environment, or nutrition. This map dictates how we approach medical treatment. Genetic diseases are hard-coded in a person's DNA, making them nearly impossible to cure. Acquired diseases, however, have external causes that we can actively manage, prevent, or destroy. Starting with genetic conditions, a microscopic error in a person's DNA coding will cascade into massive systemic failures. Hemophilia is a prime example of how fragile our genetic instructions really are. This cross-section shows a blood vessel with a microtear. Normally, specific clotting proteins would form a physical net over this leak. In hemophilia, a genetic glitch means the body fails to manufacture those specific proteins. The biological net never forms, turning a minor internal scratch into a fatal bleeding event. In contrast to genetic flaws, bacterial infections attack from the outside, but they use very different tactics. On the left side of this split-screen diagram, you see typhoid bacteria forcefully breaching the intestinal wall to enter the bloodstream directly. The body detects this invasion and triggers a massive systemic fever alarm. Now look at the right side of the screen. Cholera bacteria do not enter the blood. They stay entirely on the surface of the gut and release a specialized toxin. This toxin acts like a sponge, forcefully draining water molecules from the surrounding cells, leading to rapid and severe dehydration. Other bacteria target the nervous system directly. Tetanus produces a neurotoxin that specifically hacks your neural pathways, blocking the critical signals that tell your muscles to relax. Without the relax signal, the muscles lock up entirely, creating the terrifying condition known as lockjaw. Bacteria devastate the body either by forcing our systemic alarms into overdrive or by deploying precision chemical weapons that block crucial biological communications. Viruses operate entirely differently. They cannot survive or multiply on their own. They must hijack our cellular machinery to replicate. HIV is so destructive because it directly targets and hijacks the very white blood cells, the body's police force, that are meant to destroy it. Take dengue fever. It's famous for causing a sudden drop in blood platelets. But how exactly does a lack of platelets cause its infamous symptom, the agonizing break-bone joint pain? This animation reveals the mechanism. Platelets act as internal plaster, constantly patching up microscopic leaks in our blood vessels. When dengue destroys those platelets, blood begins leaking out into the surrounding tissue. This widespread internal bleeding creates massive inflammation around the joints, resulting in a pain so severe it feels like broken bones. Rabies targets the body in an equally mechanical way. The symptom of hydrophobia is not a psychological fear of water. The rabies virus physically damages the specific center of the brain that controls swallowing. The sheer sight of water triggers excruciatingly painful throat spasms. Protozoan parasites use yet another strategy. In malaria, the Plasmodium parasite relies on stealth, hiding and multiplying entirely inside our own red blood cells. Watch the temperature graph in this animation. The infected red blood cells swell under pressure and violently burst all at once. This sudden rupture floods the body with toxins, shocking the immune system so severely that it intentionally spikes your body temperature and triggers violent shivering to fight back. Whether a virus is hijacking a cell or a protozoan is rupturing it, the most severe symptoms you feel are actually the result of your own body's desperate defense mechanisms reacting to the internal damage. We also face non-communicable lifestyle diseases, where no outside pathogen is involved. Cancer is a fatal failure of the body's own internal safety systems. This diagram shows normal cell division, controlled by a genetic biological break that tells the cell exactly when to stop dividing. If radiation or chemicals snap that break, the cell loses its instructions. It begins dividing blindly and endlessly, piling up into a chaotic tumor mass. For the diseases we can catch, our greatest medical defense relies on training our immune system before the real threat arrives. Edward Jenner proved this concept, which eventually led to the total eradication of smallpox. A vaccine is essentially a biological mock drill. By intentionally introducing a dead or weakened piece of a pathogen, the immune system can safely learn how to forge specific weapons, called antibodies. The body then saves that blueprint to its memory, ready to deploy instantly during a real attack. True immunity comes from understanding the rules of the biological warfare happening inside us. When you know how the enemy operates, you know exactly how to defeat it. Take a screenshot of this master matrix. It connects every disease we've discussed today with its specific pathogen category, its vector, and the primary organ it attacks. Use this to prepare for your exams, and subscribe for more deep dives into the science.